Thanks.
Did you want to make
Great.
Did you want to make an announcement about the, you have to sign in now before you start?
So,
Oh my God. She's laughing.
welcome everybody to the August 2nd town board meeting. August is here. And if anybody would like to speak at privilege of the floor, they should sign up now before we do the pledge, or raise your Zoom hand to be acknowledged by the town clerk. She'll keep a
Now.
yeah, you should do that now, so. And so without further ado, I will lead a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to
The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And so I'll just elaborate on my first announcement is we've had a discussion recently about privilege of the floor and responding to other speakers. And so in order to facilitate the process of privilege of the floor should be an opportunity for people to bring matters to the town board. And so certainly if you hear something at a town board meeting and you want to respond that someone else brings the privilege of the floor, we would encourage you to do that at the next meeting or send a written comment to the board. But we want the privilege to be a time when people can offer their comments in what I call a safe space. So that's the reason for that detail. And so I'll go ahead and acknowledge the first speaker is Frank Proto.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm not here to talk about zoning.
Okay.
Really? I'm here to challenge the board on an issue regarding agriculture. I know that the town board has taken on agriculture as a concern in the zoning, proposed zoning. And also at the under the our
Committee.
own program,
Yeah.
you know, our own farmland protection program committee. But I addressed the Ag and Farmland Protection Board a week ago tonight on this same issue, and I want to challenge the board to do something. A couple of fronts. It involves wild parsnip. It's a weed that grows everywhere, and it is on the invasive species list. We incur a lot of expense moving equipment from one field to another, and often have to wash the equipment off between fields so that you're not spreading the seed. And there is an effort being made by the town highway department, by the state highway department to do periodic mowing along the roads. But sadly, it just isn't enough. And perhaps it's not done at the right time of the year and may have to be done more than once a year to keep the seed down. Because of the effort, and you should be recognized positively for the effort that you're putting in to try to do something to preserve agriculture in our town. And now that Jean has, no, I'm sorry, it isn't Jean, it's Monica. Sorry.
We're exactly the same person.
Can you do that?
No, that is Gene.
I attended the last agricultural meeting over at the Brookendale Community Center. Unfortunately, it was set up to review the plan or put the pieces together for the plan you're working on, or that they're working on to present to the town. So I didn't have a chance to speak with them, but I did talk to Erica about coming to a future meeting. However, I wanted to come here to get your juices going on doing something to help those of us that are trying to preserve traditional agriculture in the town. It involves view sheds, it involves plowing, it involves maintenance. The town, when I was on the county legislature, and I know that this still exists, there was a shared services contract with towns to participate in plowing the county roads, because the county can't get everywhere when there's 2 feet of snow. So the towns get reimbursed for that. And I would like to suggest as one of the options that you perhaps consider going to the county and expanding their shared services contract to include more periodic mowing of the shoulders of the road, of their roads. And also perhaps increasing the town's budget for our town highway department to do the same. The times that it has to be done, I am not completely well versed on the times that it needs to be done. But at the Ag and Farmland Protection Board meeting last week, 2 of the farmers, the chair of that board is from Lansing. And he was suggesting that there are right times to mow that stuff on the shoulders of the road. So I would suggest that the town get involved in some way regarding doing that. On state roads, the state, as you know, has what's known as an environmental protection fund. And there are millions of dollars in it. There are categories that you can apply for. And as vice chair of the Water Resources Council for the county, I can tell you we've accessed that fund on a number of occasions for the hydrilla problem. And we were so very successful in getting a lot of the hydrilla done. And also now with the algae blooms that are popping up all over upstate New York. So I would ask that you do something at the state level also, because I know that you're instrumental in trying to adjust some of the agricultural selling of various products regarding some of the things that we do at the farmers market here. So I would challenge you to do something with the state to perhaps get this on their radar screen, where they might be able to do something. The way we haven't completely eradicated hydrilla, but we have made enormous progress in doing that. It involved the Soil Water Conservation Board and on and on. I know I don't have 5 hours to talk about this, but there are ways to get it done.
Sure.
And as the town is addressing zoning, with the emphasis you put on agriculture, and now this the town agricultural committee is also instrumental in developing this plan. This would be the time to have them incorporate something into the Towns Act plan to address this problem.
Great.
Because it
Sure.
And it isn't just happening in this regard, it's a health issue.
Yeah.
I also am vice chair of the county's health planning council. And if you've ever had a problem with burns due to the wild parsnip, you know that it pops up in people's gardens. As a matter of fact, at the meeting that we were at the Brookendale Community Center, Emily Adams had us go over and pull a few pieces of wild parsnip out of the community garden at the town, at the Brookendale Community Center. Anyway, I wanted to get that into the minutes.
Okay.
And also ask you for some help in getting the problem addressed.
Great, thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to virtual land now, and then I'll go back to town hall reality. So it looks like Bill Padalka, I believe, has his hand up.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead, Bill.
Okay, great. I am going to talk about zoning. So at the last special meeting, from what I can see, you guys began your review of Articles 5 and 6, which are the development standards. And I see in tonight's agenda, you're hoping to make it into Article 7, site plan review. And my comments are relevant to all those sections. I know that there have been some comments and some complaints about the zoning law on vagueness or things left to the discretion of the review board. This is not a surprise. There's a push and a pull between wanting to leave some flexibility in the zoning law versus wanting to have everything cut and dried. And I know that some residents have expressed concerns to me, sometimes privately and sometimes to the zoning commission, that some requirements in the zoning law are either too vague or leave too much discretion to the review board. And the implications of this, are varied depending on the speaker, whether it puts too much of a burden on the review board, because after all, thinking takes time, or whether the review board wouldn't have the expertise to make the decisions that are being tasked to it, or that the review board might be arbitrary in its decisions or heavy-handed. That is the tyranny of the small town bureaucrat. Well, in regards to the time, I have to sort of say guilty as charged. Discussing and thinking, deciding takes time, but that is indeed the role of the review board. In terms of expertise, the review board certainly is empowered to engage the expertise that it's needed. And in regards to the review board being arbitrary or heavy-handed, I guess I have to say that I have faith in the quality of people from Caroline who will step up to do that work. And I'm willing to accept those kind of implications and risks because fundamentally, I don't believe that every requirement or rule can or even should be totally cut and dried. It's simply too hard to foresee all the possible variations of implementations of a use to make everything sort of one size fits all. There's a need for a human role, and I mean a human role, not an AI role, in making sure that the spirit of the zoning law is best implemented. And sometimes that could mean allowing more flexibility than a fixed rule might allow. And sometimes it might mean requiring something a bit stricter. So where some see discretion of the review board as leading to the possibility of excess, I see it as providing important flexibility that allows implementation of the zoning law to be reasonable and sane. So I acknowledge the potential issues raised by this flexibility, and the zoning commission strove to keep just as much flexibility as needed by making requirements as concrete as we thought reasonable, by making clear what were design suggestions versus design requirements, avoiding aesthetic zoning and the like. But it never hurts to have a fresh pair of eyes, take a look at things, or in the case of Michelle, it will hopefully be a refreshed pair of eyes. And so as you go through the development standards, the supplemental standards, and the site plan review sections, I do urge you to watch for spots for something that might be too vague or maybe leaves too much discretion to the review board, and tighten things up if you feel it's necessary. But I believe and hope that those will be few and far between. And one final quick point, I noticed in the minutes from the last meeting, some suggestion of possibly moving vehicle body repair definition to be under fuel. The minutes, of course, don't include all the nuances of your discussion. I just want to remind you the zoning commission intentionally kept vehicle body repair as a separate definition to acknowledge and allow for cases where there was a repair station that did not dispense fuel. So that's all.
Great, thank you, Bill. And now I have Jean McPheeters.
Good evening. I actually came to discuss what Bill just said better than I was going to. But I wanted to add 2 points. One is that the review board is required to take into consideration what the zoning law says. In other words, it can't just go off wildly and do something entirely different. That's absolutely part and parcel of the law. And secondly, in our recommendations from the zoning commission to you, we suggested that at least every 2 years that the review board should come and say, here are things that were maybe are not clear or that we might want to adjust back to the town board. So I think that gives that gives real consideration for what Bill said, is to allow things to to come up and then to be rectified if they need to be rectified. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jean.
So revisit and review every 2 years.
That was our suggestion.
All right, thank you, everybody, for those constructive comments. I will move on the agenda. I don't think we have a highway superintendent's report this week or this month. County legislators report. I think I saw Dan on the meeting.
Hello.
Hi, Dan.
Hi. I don't have much to report this month. I just wanted to update you on the broadband progress. It's not too different from what I talked about last month, except to say that our consultant did come through with their estimated projections of the cost of a countywide, municipally owned, municipally operated broadband system, and it is as we thought. The estimated cost is $100 million with a $13 million annual operations and maintenance budget. So as I said last month, I just don't see this one going anywhere. I don't think there's going to be any support in the legislature for it. So the other plan is that we were working on the request for proposals for internet service providers to bid in each town. They'll be working on that over the course of this month, and with luck, the request for proposals will go out in September. And that's all I have to report.
Great, thank you, Dan. I had understood that the legislature had already made that decision to work on the RFP. Is that right?
They did. I think I did speak about this last month. I thought it was backwards. I thought we should wait for this other piece. I got outvoted. And I really have restrained myself from saying I told you so to them, because if we had waited, we would have had this extra piece. In other words, the estimate for the countywide system did come in before the RFP went out. We could have waited, but we didn't. However, I don't think the result would be any different because, as I said, I don't think it's hard for me to imagine any legislator supporting a $100 million capital project.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I was just wondering where the RFP was at right now.
Do you know if the RFP is going to, be open to municipal broadband providing? I mean, so like Dryden program?
Yes, that is definitely my goal, and I think everyone's on board with that. So we have been talking about some of the particulars of the RFP, and I was in on that, and I asked at every step, does this mean Dryden, for example, could bid? And the answer seemed to be yes. And I don't want to say that I was the only person doing that. Everyone wants this to happen. Everyone wants municipalities to be able to bid. So I can't say 100% for sure yet because the RFP is not finished, but that is my goal, and I believe that's everybody's goal.
Why is the bid for a countywide system just so huge?
Because it means building it from scratch, basically.
So the two options are, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan. So and what you said is that's like building a full county operated broadband system utility.
Okay.
The other option is just to address the unserved and underserved homes. So it's more targeted. So
Okay.
Does that seem fair, Dan?
Yes.
Okay.
There's also Dryden is running into getting the right of way, stuff like that. And so if you're going to be going through Ithaca and everywhere and every house in county, that's a lot versus, Dryden is planning on doing every house in Dryden and business and making it available to them. That is their goal. So, but it's a smaller
Okay,
area.
that explains a lot.
I just have a question about that. What about in places where, say, people like, or companies like Frontier have already got the right of way? How do they deal with that?
So,
So it depended, it gets complicated, depending on like if they're using the telephone poles. Or going over private land or going over, you know, so some of it's NYSEG, some of it's private, some of it's. And some of it, like in the village, they're trying to change, you can correct, I'm sorry if I'm taking over, Dan.
No, keep going.
Okay, the village of Dryden, for example, they're trying to get it kind of changed at the state level, so they've got a right of way for water mains. And they want to add like broadband onto that, right?
Yeah.
So, so it's kind of just a lot of legislation has to be updated and moved on, things like this.
I mean, what I'm thinking of is that, I think a few years ago, PayPal or whatever, another company wanted to put it
Yeah.
right. And immediately Frontier came out and started asking everybody to have to commit to giving them the right of way. And they came to my house, I know. I think they came to inspect his house. And a lot of people said, oh yeah, sure. So if they've done that, like what are the implications for?
That's a good question.
but I mean, Dan, do you want to weigh in on this?
Not really.
No. Okay. Well, then-
But it is a good question. We could ask Brian
Yeah.
about that. So we're having a feasibility study done now. I mean, that would be.
I mean, I'm just,
It's a good-
curious.
But my understanding is that the municipal system is intended to be an alternative to existing systems. So that they would seek their own routes of right of way, however they did that, so.
Oh, so they could have, conceivably then two groups could have the same right, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be hard to imagine that Frontier has an exclusive right away,
Yeah, I don't
Through
know,
everybody's
so I don't know.
you know. But, and also their right of way is probably still phone based anyway. I mean, they have a right of way through my land.
Yeah, I think
Go
it's
with
based on
Frontier, yeah.
the phone poles.
It's a phone pole.
but
Yeah.
Bruce,
just
did you have
curious,
a
you know.
comment?
Yeah, I know NICEAG usually have the right of way almost everywhere. And other companies can piggyback on that, but they might have to pay for it.
Right.
I know
Right.
some of the phone companies like would have, if they had purchased the right of way, would have exclusive. And another company would piggyback on there by dealing with that company.
Yeah,
That's
and
what's happening on my work company.
I've been listening into the Dryden meetings, and there's a lot of discussion about, well, this business. We thought we could do this, but we can't get the right of way, so we're going around the backyard, and I mean, so it's a lot of very individual sites. They're running into different challenges and opportunities. They are, they're the rail trail they built, that's their backbone. So that's where they're running and they're going out from that, so anyway, there are a lot of different possibilities out there, which is exciting, but.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Frank, did you have a comment?
Dan, are you still on?
Yes, I am. Hi, Frank.
How you doing?
Excellent.
I'd like to say something about the funding. And also something that was just mentioned regarding piggybacking on the existing poles. We had a couple of utilities on our land want to bring in new utility lines. And NICEAG, you're absolutely right. NICEAG will permit other utilities to run on their poles as long as you participate in the expense of maintenance, brush trimming, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think Haefely rents poles. They just pay a fee to
Okay.
yeah.
Haley,
The one I wanted to get Dan's juices going on. And we all pay it. You guys pay it every single month. On your cell phone bill, your TV bill, your Frontier phone bill or whatever. It's called the Universal Services Fund, the USF. And when I was on the legislature, we made a study of this. There are billions of dollars collected every single month. And it's for providing it's providing access, communications access. And one of the 4 legs of the stool was to provide broadband access. And it should be looked into because you're contributing pennies on your bill. It only amounts to $1 or $2 a month. But if you spread that over how many residents in the state of New York are kicking into that, plus the US, it is billions of dollars. And it is totally available, but it has to be applied for. And a town can apply for it, a company can apply for it, a county can apply for it. And we should. We got money for the libraries, for the hospital, and for several agencies years ago.
Great,
So, and that money's still available. You should really look into that.
great, thank you. USF,
USF, when you go home tonight, check your cable bill, check your telephone bill, check your cell phone bill. You are paying into that, particularly for your long distance charges. You are all paying that fee.
great, okay, thank you.
Universal Service Fund. Sorry, Dan.
Dan, did you want to say anything else?
No, that was all I had. And except Frank, I do remember that you have a whole binder on it. I remember that. So we can talk about it more offline.
They should still be in the legislative office somewhere.
Very good.
Great, thank you. Thanks, everybody. I'll move on to committee reports. Anybody has anything to offer?
No, not really.
Not really? Okay,
Summer.
it's summer. Great. So I'll then open the meeting for discussion of the draft zoning law. And I guess, let's see, so at our last working meeting on the 17th of July, we highlighted things that we wanted to return to discuss when everybody was back here. So I am going from, I put copies out of the minutes that contain all the things that we highlighted.
Oh, I guess. Yep.
Did you guys get?
Is there one down there?
I printed out the one you sent us, but
Page 1 of 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm starting from the minutes of the 17th that Jesse has everything listed down there. So section 4 uses. We had industrial use light. And the proposal was to change from site plan review to not allowed in Bessemer, West Sladeville, and Center Brooktondale hamlets. Is that correct? Michelle?
well, I mean, on the use table, it's actually an SUP, but I don't know.
It is. I wonder if we previously changed it. I don't know, but anyway,
I think that's just probably.
it's just, okay, so.
Yeah,
That's just.
so change, yeah.
It's still a form of review, but it's an SUP, not an SPI.
Yeah,
Right,
No, that's just a typo.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a typo. This should be a U there. Change it, so to Exon, Beesmer, West Sladeville, and Center Brooksondale. Yeah,
Great, okay.
that's what I've got.
What page you in?
45.
And then the other change was for offices. And that was,
Again, that was also an OTP.
Yeah. Yes.
This is SPR on this, page 46.
Okay.
Um,
so for offices, changing Beesimer and West Sladeville to not allowed.
And those are SPRs.
Okay, so
They are. But
okay.
any comments or questions about that? Does that seem,
Seems like what we discussed.
That's what we discussed, yeah.
I'm wondering if Cal or Michelle, if they,
so, sorry, I'll just, I don't have a problem with it. I guess I'm curious about the offices. Why did you decide to take them out?
I mean, the thinking was that in terms of the potential scale of the commercial offices, that there's following the comprehensive plan and also the zoning commission's logic to have gradient districts in relationship to use value. So that it was thought that to protect the highly residential areas more specifically.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with these changes.
great, okay. I guess I'll move through these sequentially and then offer them as a consent agenda all at once. Let's see, then the next one is the one that Bill mentioned.
Right,
This was definitions, let's see. Wait, so vehicle body repair.
here, right,
Yeah.
and I think my concern the last time was that in the definitions, they could also sell fuel.
Vehicle.
So in the definitions, and that's,
They could do what?
they could also sell fuel, so you could have something that was a vehicle repair shop that sold fuel. And I was asking, how is that different than a gas station,
Mhm.
right, that changes oil every once in a while? I mean, I wasn't seeing a difference there.
Well, it
So
doesn't
that-
actually say, in the vehicle body repair shop, it doesn't actually say that it's self-fuel. It says establishments primarily engaged in providing collision repair services, including body frame straightening and repair, replacement of damaged parts and painting. Which would be something like, Hunt's down the road, so
Right.
they don't sell fuel.
You're talking.
No,
about
it
the
says
last
here
sentence.
also any building, land area, or the premises or portion thereof used for the retail dispensing or sale of vehicular fuels.
What, you're looking at vehicle service station repair?
Yes,
Okay,
that's in the definition on page
but we're talking about
32.
vehicle body shops, I thought.
Oh, okay, that's further up.
And I
Okay.
thought that the thing was to change vehicle body shop and move that to fuel, which doesn't make sense to me either, sorry.
I'm concerned about,
Well, I think that the confusion comes from Michelle in the use table. It combines vehicle body repair shop or vehicle service
Yeah, they're
station
both
and
there.
repair.
Oh, okay,
They're both in there.
So they're both in
Right.
one, they're both in one category.
okay, well, you could change that, I mean, it's not a problem with definition, that it's a problem with your
Okay.
category,
Well,
with the use.
yeah,
so.
that's right.
So can we take out the vehicle service station and repair them? And just leave the vehicle body repair shop?
Or we have two different designations.
When somebody
had some old farm buildings and they wanted to do a RV and boat storage and repair.
So,
Would it be prohibited?
if you're considering that to be a vehicle body repair shop, I mean, I can see that you could separate those two things. You'd have different requirements for a vehicle body repair shop or a vehicle service station in there. Or what you're describing might be considered storage. Right, because you're gonna store them.
Yeah, but suppose it's like an RV or home. I mean, that kind of, I don't know.
Are they gonna repair them or they're just gonna store them?
Both.
I mean.
I'm just trying to think of
People do
hypothetical
both.
things.
I mean, people routinely store RVs and also repair them, and
Yes,
I think it would be a different category, it's different from. I think, probably vehicle body repair shop and vehicle service station repair should be separate on the use table and have different, you would have both things in different places, right? Like you could have a Hunt's, which is a vehicle repair shop, right? But maybe you don't want a place that sells gas because there's all kinds of problems with water and pollution and, you know.
Right, that was my concern
Yeah.
with it in the hamlets, to have somebody put in a gas tank and,
So I could see maybe separating them and having different categories.
But it makes sense to do, then just pull out the vehicle service station and repair
Yes,
and put that in with fuel. Or fuel,
is fuel.
the gasoline
also-
station.
a fuel gas station.
Is that another category?
Yeah.
On
it's-
page
yeah.
45.
On page 45, yeah,
Yeah, I would think that, well,
because
I
I
don't
think
want to speak for everybody, but I would, that makes sense to me.
that would make sense to me.
Yeah,
Fuel gas station.
I mean, a lot of gas stations in the old days, that's what they were,
Right.
vehicle repair and gas stations, so.
So just call it vehicle repair and gas station.
And then what? take out
fuel and gas station.
See, what's the difference in their, they're pretty much the same, aren't they, as far as.
I think they're pretty much this.
Yeah. they're the same.
Yeah, a fuel station, I mean, just the definition is a fuel station for the retail dispensing gasoline or diesel.
So they're the same in
Kerosene or
the definition thing. But I could see maybe you would allow a vehicle body repair shop in other places, or maybe not,
Right.
but.
Mhm.
Right.
I think it's
Yeah.
probably the
Right.
definition.
Right.
Yeah, I can too. So if we took out the vehicle service station and repair from the use thing on 47 and put it with the fuel
Sure. I mean.
on
that would be
45,
fine.
And then do we need both of those categories
fuel
or
and gas station.
definitions? We do. Or-
I mean, I think you need something that dispenses gas. And you need something that doesn't,
Right,
Right,
I agree with that.
yeah.
I was just wondering if fuel gasoline station is hardly any different than vehicle service station and repair.
Well, if they're gonna be repairing, then they're
Yeah.
gonna have
Different,
different
yeah.
solvents and different,
Mhm.
you know, like say Danny Mini Mart doesn't repair anything and they probably. But if you went to Goodyear,
They just have
they don't
gasoline.
have gasoline, but you know, how many places in England do? Well,
well, Chris Bell's used to have both.
But,
yeah, there are more.
but anymore, but anyway, I can see if you're repairing things, you're gonna have things like paints and
So.
Oil.
solvents and
Yeah.
oils and
Mhm.
stuff, as opposed to just dispensing fuel.
Okay. So you're suggesting they need to be held in separate rows?
I think that's
Mhm.
fine if they're separate.
Okay. Okay. Bruce, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I believe the fuel gas station in Hamlet, Brookendale, and Hamlet Center, Brookendale, you put that to no, you couldn't do it. So
Mhm.
SUP, so if you were gonna change it down there, but you're not gonna change it, you're gonna keep it separate. So it doesn't matter. Because if you were gonna change it, put vehicle service station or repair, well, you SUP. And if you put them up there, you know, they're not.
Right.
Right,
So
right. Let's just keep them separate and
But
have another line in there.
I don't know how people feel about allowing a vehicle repair shop in Los Angeles either.
I think it's more an issue with the fuel.
Okay,
I mean, I do think that what we need to do is be consistent in relationship to fuel and gasoline station.
Yeah, definitely.
So that if you're gonna have a vehicle service station and repair with fuel, I'd recommend that they have the same characteristics as
Right,
fuel,
the same
gasoline
allowances are used, yeah,
no, I agree with that.
me too.
I mean, most repair shops go towards the edge of a residential area. They go to a strip area, right?
Not necessarily, I mean.
Not necessarily, well, in
not
Brooksondale,
necessarily,
we've got a
right.
whole big section. So,
I mean, it seems to me that, okay, so we have vehicle buy. It just seems like adding, it seems like if the vehicle service station has fuel, then it should just be called a gasoline fueling station or whatever, right? And then,
Well, I mean, it has.
It has service
It might
base,
have-
it has service base, it does inspections. it-
right,
And it might have electric recharging, so you don't wanna just call it a gasoline.
yeah, so there's a separate one for that.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why it'd be prohibited in Hamlet, Beesmer, but special use permit in Hamlet, Slaterville Springs.
So,
Because Slaterville Springs is, say where Danny Mini Mart is, right?
Right.
So I think the idea was Slaterville Springs is a place you could have more commercial and industrial things as opposed to, say, West Slaterville, which is purely residential. And these are fully residential.
I guess just my perception of Slaterville is residential. You know, we took in Plata. There was a gas station. Plopped in where there was a house and barn.
So I think now it's considered, it's more,
And yet we're saying, well, you could do it again with a special use permit, but we couldn't go put something in that field there.
right,
And that just seems, just doesn't make any sense to me.
well, I guess it makes sense to me because that area is residential, right? There is no. fuel, but so this area has become, because of, say, Dandy Mini Mart, it has become commercial and it seemed like it made sense then. You can't just.
Call it mixed use, it's mixed
Yeah,
use.
or mixed use. It makes sense to have, you can't have only one area, just to have mixed use, at least that. I don't want to keep saying R, because I believe this feeling of the zoning commission was that you wanted to have mixed use in more than one place. And so that area seemed like another opportunity for mixed use because it's currently mixed use. As opposed to, say, Beesimer and West Slaterville, which are still residential and people have bought homes there and whatnot. Presumably because it was residential.
Well, and let's say hypothetically, the Dandy Mini Mart went out of business and somebody else wanted to buy it. And continue to have a gas station there. This would provide the latitude for that kind of continuity.
Right, right.
Whereas if it were not allowed, it's not allowed in the future.
Right.
So I think for me, it makes total sense to have Slaterville be more of a mixed use situation. Especially because of that
Right,
business. There's also. I mean, there is a repair shop farther down the road. That's in a commercial district. That's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with it being mixed use. I
You
mean, I
feel about
understand,
Slaterville?
yeah, I understand the logic of it.
Yeah. Well, I respect it too. But no, I think it makes sense to have Slaterville mixed use because it's mixed use now. To me, I think of all this, you know, if I'm buying property and I want to know what to expect of my property. Right? That's what I think of when I think of one of the benefits of zoning is, I know I can buy a place in a residential area and I'm not expecting a Danny Mini Mart to move in next door. Because I'm assuming it's gonna stay residential.
Mhm.
And so keeping some areas residential, say Beesimer or West Sladeville, which are currently not mixed use. It just makes sense to me that you know, when you buy property, that's how that's gonna be used. You're not gonna be surprised and your property is not gonna lose its value because, you know, it's no longer peaceful and quiet. And anyway, that's just, so the thinking was, you don't wanna just have mixed use in one place. People have to have opportunities for mixed use in other places, several places, and so it makes sense to make, I don't wanna keep saying the word use, but it makes sense to make use of a place that's already starting to grow in that way.
It's similar in Brooktondale, you know, on Brooktondale Road, with the garages up that way. And businesses up there. And it's kind of a mix of the businesses there and, you know, the cars and everything, and then residential right across the street, so it's a mixed use area. Up that way.
Yep,
So can I make a proposal
please.
that we distinguish vehicle body repair shop from vehicle service station repairs? Just make that a separate line. For vehicle body repair shop, I recommend that we keep the designations that we already have for that use. And for vehicle service station and repair, which includes gasoline,
Could,
it could, then I recommend that we then duplicate the designations for fuel gasoline. Under that which would be ex Agrill, ex Bessemer, SUP Hamlet, Sladeville Springs, ex West Sladeville, SUP, Caroline Center, Speedsville, SUP, Brooktondale. No, not ex Brooktondale, ex Center Brooktondale,
Oh,
SUP Focus Commercial.
okay.
Does that make sense?
But then you could still have.
Yep.
You could still have the repair shops though, just looking at this. And
Yeah, what you're distinguishing here is if they can have gasoline or not.
right. Okay,
right,
good,
that works, right?
yep,
I think that's good.
Yep.
Bruce?
According to what Tim was saying, and the red of my line, if the candy bar went out of business, it would still be somebody wanting to go in and grandfather's gas station. Right?
If it went out of business, what?
Danny Marcel.
Well, if it falls within let's say it happens after 3 years,
Yeah.
so then, you know, if it happens immediately, of course, it's grandfathered, but it's already allowed. Currently it's already allowed anyway.
Yeah, it would be allowed by this, so.
Jean.
Becky had her hand up and then Jean.
And then we gotta get back to the board and we're gonna
right,
not making any progress tonight.
I realize the issue of what's happening with commercial. And Sladeville Springs has sort of gotten intertwined here. But there's a section of the hamlet, or at least it's proposed, to the north of the main strip that would also. I don't know if any final decision was made as to whether that was to be strictly residential. If you know the road that goes up, if you're going down east on 79 and you come to the Dandy Mart on your left, then there's a road that goes.
Fuller
back
Lane.
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was some discussion, Michelle can correct me here if I'm wrong, about considering that land all back there as part of the hamlet.
It is,
Yeah,
it is,
All right.
Yeah.
So would that all be mixed use as well?
yes. It's part of the Sladeville Springs Hamlet.
yeah. Put in there, yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. Jean?
Al had asked about vehicle storage or an RV, and if you go up, I think 2 from where you are, there's a section on storage. But you might want to see that staging, storage, or parking areas.
I see,
Staging,
Oh,
storage,
yeah.
or parking
Boom,
areas
boom,
of
boom, ag.
of non-residential.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay. Not associated with home occupation or otherwise permitted use, okay.
yeah, thank you. Great, so I think we did make some progress.
Yeah.
We got through the fueling issue and the
All right.
station, so I appreciate that.
All right.
I'm gonna check that off. Then the next note we have is
Two. Schedule
Need-
area and dimension.
definitions for
Oh, right, lodging and non-transient.
yeah, lodging and
Right.
transient.
Where'd you go? Okay.
Those we don't have. Those we just have, those we don't have.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right. That was a question I had, wasn't it?
what was your question?
But lodging and transient.
Do we need to discuss it or we just?
We just
We just wanted
we
definitions.
just
Did you
need
get
it, yeah.
definitions? You were gonna get definitions.
Yeah.
I'm just like slowly remembering
ask
what I
Nan
read.
to help us with those definitions.
Right.
Yes.
Seems like there's no problematic definitions.
Right.
No,
That's my mind.
yeah. What were the definitions? Did we get them?
No, we don't have them. Nan's on
Oh.
vacation.
Okay. All right.
All right, so table 2, schedule of area and dimensions. This is where we were
Yeah.
working a lot and having a lot of discussions. Tim made a proposal. Let's see, so we have,
Right. Very good.
so we're gonna come back to it. We have 2 rows, maximum lot coverage as a percent. And then the next one down is maximum total building footprint of a commercial structure. And I said that as the way I'm proposing we should define it, as that's the maximum total building footprint of a single commercial structure.
Well, you should define what as the maximum lot coverage.
This is right after maximum lot coverage. It's,
Ag rural.
Yeah, because I'm not sure I wasn't sure.
I thought okay,
Because right now, I think it's like 20% for ag rural, right?
Yes.
what it says is 20, yeah.
yeah, I
So,
thought, yeah,
So then the next line down, it says 7,500 for the maximum total building footprint of a commercial.
Page that sounds.
49,
My stuff.
so, okay,
So the background of this, Michelle, is that for maximum lot coverage, it goes 20, 20, 50, 50, 50, 25, 50, 60.
Yeah,
And I was feeling that it makes sense to have a little bit more consistency when it comes to Hamlet, Bessemer and Brooktondale.
Oh,
Everything else is
so
50, they're 20 and 25,
yeah,
and then the agro was 25. I mean, my initial recommendation was just to make it 50 across except for ag.
right. Oh, so I can see that. I guess I was concerned about increasing the ag because
Right.
I feel like then you're kind of chipping away at the rural character.
Right.
I agree with that.
So I'm not in favor of increasing the ag, but I can see, yeah, it makes sense to have them all the same.
so you're saying leave ag at 20
Yeah.
and then everything else at 50?
Focus commercial is at 60,
60, I would leave that at 60.
Oh.
like that at 62.
50.
so 20,
Then Hamlet, Brooktondale and Hamlet Bessemer are both 20 and 25.
Yeah, why was that, do you
I
know?
don't know, I don't remember.
I think that must be based on. I don't know.
I think it's like current, like how it is currently.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me for
Yeah.
Bessemer, but not necessarily Brooktondale.
Well, it does with the hamlet of Brooktondale, the center of Brooktondale. I always have a hard time keeping this straight in my head because, I live in them.
Yeah,
I actually live on the edge of the center.
So
But I live in a part where everything is small, but there's a whole section of the hamlet that's spread out along
That's true.
Brooktondale Road.
Yeah.
That's got big lots, with not a lot of coverage. So it depends, I think, maybe they were looking at that when they
Yeah,
built it
Central
to 25.
Central Brookendale is more like the,
is more
mixed
clustered
use.
or condensed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Whereas Hamlet Brookendale is more like bigger lots and,
right,
yeah.
right. And
So-
so Maybe I need to look at that map again.
I guess I don't know why we would have made it 2025. I mean, I could see having Beesimer and Brookendale both be either 20 or 25. The Sladeville Springs, again, I don't know why that, I mean, if you're gonna go with that logic, then I would say Sladeville Springs, I mean, West Sladeville should be 20 or 25, not. If
Right, that's,
you want to be consistent. I guess I don't have a strong feeling about this stuff, except I'm opposed to increasing the ag rural.
you know, we could also, you know, kind of flag this for, you know, review in 2 years, see how it plays out. And if there's a problem, I mean,
But where would we land now? I agree with Michelle on ag rural.
So the only one that kind of is an outlier is West Sladeville, right? For the hamlets.
At
well,
at 50?
everything's. Yeah, I mean, one reason I was the maximum lot coverage concerned me in the hamlet of Brooksondale, because there are places that have like less than a half an acre and a house, you know, I mean, and it's already 50% covered. So I'm kind of like, so if they wanted to put in a garage or something, or,
Mhm.
you know, it'd be over, I guess. Yeah, I thought it,
So.
that's why I didn't really want to go up to 50, I guess. I don't know.
Oh,
No, I wanted it to go up
that's
to
why you
50.
wanted to-
I wanted it to go up because
Yeah.
I just felt some of the lots were
Right,
so
so-
small in there. Some are
Yeah.
bigger, but some are still really small and they're not in the center. That center delineation
Yeah.
is,
Well, I can see that. I don't have a strong feeling about it.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I just
Kim?
thought it would be easier
yeah,
to have it be consistent. It's also
so if we
most
had,
likely that most of the lots that are gonna be talked about in the future are gonna be smaller building lots anyway.
right.
So just-
I can see going with that.
So going with 50 across the board except for ag and
Right,
focus commercial.
right.
Bruce,
It'd make it easier
Did
on
you
the,
discuss that with Dan,
pardon me?
or did you discuss any of it, because it said if you last meeting, you need more.
Yeah,
we
I-
can ask Nat about runoff problems.
Talk to her about it.
Because, I mean, a lot of this stuff we did do it at her suggestion, so.
well, I did discuss ag 20% with her.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So we did have that
That
discussion.
one I feel good about. Yeah.
Okay,
That seemed to be the one that she was most concerned
right,
about.
right.
And I think she said, you know, all of these percentages are greater than current lot coverage
I see
they
that.
allow.
I see. So. I mean, these are where the lots are pretty big, right?
It depends. Some of them are small, some of them are big.
Yeah,
It just depends.
I just don't know enough about those lots, so.
I mean, a lot of them are, most of them are basically 1 acre
Yeah.
lots.
Okay.
1
so-
acre, half acre.
All the newer ones are. very
Yeah, the
small.
newer ones have one, yeah.
They're very small.
Yeah, so then maybe it does make sense to increase.
Yeah, I mean, almost all the new Beesimer lots that I'm eyeballing in the past 10 years are basically 1 acre lot. or
Well, they
probably
have to
less.
be for the septic, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So it's just the older houses, I think, that are the teensy tiny ones.
so, yeah, I can see going with that if you want to just make that decision, that's fine with me, or if you want to talk to Nan about it.
I mean, I'm comfortable just with making a decision at this point. I mean, we talked about this for about 3 different meetings.
Yeah, well, we can do that. We can always
And we can always go back. and-
modify it.
Right,
So,
yeah.
so let's just, Tim's proposal is 20 for ag rural. 50 across the board, except focus commercial will be 60. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, about all this work.
I'm scribbling down enough to try to remember it, so. All right, so that's great. Then, how about the maximum total building footprint of a commercial structure?
Okay. So I have a
Let's
note.
see, I think,
Already.
oh, I think we voted on this.
We
right?
did. I have a
Yeah.
note that says voted on already.
So we have
Just
5,000, 2,000, 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, 2,000, 3,000, 15,000.
Yep.
Is
Yes,
that right?
yes.
But we don't need to include that in tonight's.
I'm not part of that discussion, I don't care.
Okay.
Well,
We already voted on it.
Okay,
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 great.
now I did have comments on.
we're back to. So we didn't vote on things because I wasn't here. We'll make lists to go over with them.
Okay. So,
Article 5, development standards. I got page 60.
oh, so what? Do you have anything? I just, oh, I see, Steve Sloan. Oh. What kind of protocol? Do you want me to just jump in or do you want me to, how do you want to, I don't want, I feel like I'm just jumping in.
Yeah, I mean, we should try to leave room for each person to speak, but yeah, it's either, yeah, if we have a pause and you have something, go for it. So,
So Mark, is this your new proposal? Where are we gonna,
let's see.
no, your water overlay, this is,
Oh, the thing that I sent,
yeah, that's.
Yeah.
That's different.
and I made a printed copy of it here, if anybody, because I sent it out late today about 5
I
o'clock.
didn't see it. It was,
Oh, I don't do
I
that.
was reading the site plan review.
So, yeah, there's 2 there. Here's another one.
Oh, this is just what we already done last week, so this is, yeah, page 3. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, the rest of this is just
Right.
what we're doing
Yep.
last week, so, yeah, but I do want to go over it.
Right.
It's mostly editing. But let's see, this is in Article 5, so we did, so before we set the riparian buffer for perennial streams at 100 feet, 75 feet in the hamlets, and we set intermittent streams at, I think, 50 feet. I think that's what we set, decided last time, so. I was looking over Ulysses and Village of Trumansburg and Danby's. And so this has parts of all those, so I'm proposing a 100-foot buffer for 6 Mile Creek in the ag rural district and focus commercial. 50-foot buffer for 6 Mile Creek in the hamlet and for all other perennial creeks and streams. And then a 25-foot buffer for intermittent streams. And then the overlay boundary, the zoning commission set that at a slightly greater. So maybe that's 10% greater to designate that, or whatever makes sense.
Overlay district boundary.
So that's
Oh,
what,
I see. Okay, but
yeah,
yeah.
so that's just a little bit bigger. So that's
Right.
what you dig in and look at.
So this was when
Mark, can you pass me one?
When we were talking about that, but we're talking about, this would be the line you were talking about, instead of dealing with up and over, you would
Yeah,
just be talking about that
exactly.
lower line.
Right.
Straight from the stream channel here, or if the bank was high, it would, yeah, it could be
Yeah.
right there,
So in the top figure, it would be
Okay.
that horizontal line.
down here,
Yeah,
down in here,
yeah,
okay, I'm good with that,
okay.
Yep.
Great. So that the buffer limit shall be measured from the top of the stream back outward perpendicular to the stream course and at level elevation, just a flat line out.
okay.
And then I didn't know if we needed to, I thought there was a conversation about if there would be an issue with septic repair or replacement, especially in hamlets.
I thought we took that completely out.
What page are you looking at?
Um,
You're saying 66, but on 66,
Yeah.
that's not what.
No, you hop back
I hopped around, sorry.
Hopping.
I hopped.
He went to
Okay.
68.
All right, so you're on 68.
We were talking about the buffers, the stream
Yes.
buffer
Yeah.
areas and. Um. We had a lot of talk about the. The inner and the outer buffer, we got rid of that, we shifted to just having. A
So you're
buffer,
just saying it would be.
It's okay. Under copy of that.
Yeah,
yeah, we have the.
that's the proposal.
Okay.
We had Hamlet at 75, so you're making it smaller into 50, okay. I think it should be so, all right, all right. Oh, yeah. I thought we went from 100 to 75, so you've gone down to 50.
We did.
We did.
I summarized that a few minutes ago. So.
Right, I didn't notice the shrinkage of the 50, minimum of 50 feet horizontally. So I just want to say I'm not happy about that with this shrinkage from 75 to 50. I'm okay with you getting rid of the counting that slope, because you're going with that lower line. But I would like to see it a little bigger than 50 feet because the hamlets have more. They have denser use and more opportunity for runoff and for pollutant runoff into the stream. But
My question about that
we've
is,
talked about this before, so.
and you can correct me on this because this might be just a totally dumb question. I mean, is there really a riparian buffer in the hamlets? Isn't it all paved over?
It is not all paved over, no, it's got some yards in there, got some grass, it's got.
Not much. I mean, I'm trying to think where, like, let's say, well, maybe like right in front of your house there is.
There are a lot of houses with yards in there
Yeah,
and grassy
I was
areas.
thinking about the other side, I think.
The other side also has quite
Yeah.
extensive yards going back,
Okay,
so,
so.
yeah.
Can you answer my question?
I talked to one neighbor who was concerned about the riparian buffer because she's got. A little stream coming in, right? And then she's got 6 Mile Creek, and she's like, so where can I build? But she was happy to know that she could just go and say, this is the problem, and this percentage of, can't remember what percent of land, of my land is in this area, and get permission to build. To enlarge her garage, that's what she's hoping to do in the next few years.
I mean,
to enlarge her
it
garage.
may not be guaranteed that she.
Well, she knows it's not guaranteed, but she said she trusts that people have common sense and would look at it. That's what she said, so that.
So is there a problem with worrying about flooding? I mean, when you talk about common sense, I just wonder like why people want to build in those areas. Since it's
Yeah.
quite possible that they would. So I guess that's my question about
Yeah.
that.
Hopefully they have common sense about.
Right.
Do people have common sense? I
Well.
don't think, can you say that?
I think it'll flood further down before it floods up.
I don't know, I haven't seen the flood maps, what are the
Yeah,
flood
no,
maps say?
I think that whole area further down near the
Yeah.
store and things is in a floodplain. I think actually right next to my house, but when I've looked at historic floods, it's been further down towards Banks Road down that way, where the 6 Mile Creek has this huge valley that it changes. The way it's going, yeah. So,
Well, I was there for the 81 flood,
all right,
and it almost went over the bridge in Brooktondale. It did take out the
the
mill,
lower bridge,
took out the mill.
yeah,
front of your
yeah,
house.
yeah,
And then it almost flooded downtown Brooklyn. It came maybe a foot below flooding over the top of the bridge.
which
On
bridge?
Valley Road, Valley Road.
Oh, the valley
big
bridge, the lower
big-
bridge,
big
yeah,
In front of the store.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that one, the slower down.
Yeah. And I mean, we had that problem, it's gonna go back to Banks Road, we had that problem with Banks Road
Yeah.
just a few years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
it's, if we were out west, that wouldn't be a creek, it would be a river. It's,
That little stream right down the road from your house, the Birch Bed,
I remember when that,
that's a field culvert, it's, I don't know, 8 by 8.
yeah,
At flood stage, that flows full force and move 6 Mile Creek that way.
right,
Yeah,
Lord knows
Right.
how many feet, because
Right.
I used to live in that house right straight across from that culvert.
right. Well, Mary Fudge had to get evacuated
Yep.
once, yeah,
I owned
remember
that house
that.
for many years, and it creeped.
I mean, water's a problem. I mean, it's a big watershed, so,
Yeah, so
but,
So for the floodplains, we have the FEMA flood map designations and that is currently regulated by our flood damage law. And it, you know, like, it allows you to build there, but under severe restrictions where you have to build above the whatever, wherever the flood elevation. And if you occupy any of the capacity of the stream, they have to compensate for that somehow. So, and I don't think people do that commonly. But, you know, so that is something that, you know, if we wanted to disallow that, we could.
that would be in the floodplain law,
That would be,
not in the riparian buffer.
Right, right.
Right.
and that's the riparian buffer, what percentage, if your property is, if there's a certain percentage, if it's
75%.
75% in the riparian buffer, then you can ask.
Right.
Build on 25% of it.
Right,
Yeah.
for permission to use
Yeah.
that space.
And I think technically, actually, a lawn does not count as riparian buffer.
Yeah.
It does,
It
a
does,
lawn.
a lot, yeah, it does,
Sure.
yeah.
We can, that's up to us,
I see.
but I
Okay,
think it
yeah.
is allowed in the current language. So,
I mean, the riparian buffers, but we changed it a little
I mean,
bit.
there was some stuff about cutting the trees and all that.
Right, well, we changed that a little bit
Simplify some.
to,
All right.
yeah,
So it was-
about the foliage and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but we did take out, here it is, on page 69. We took out it says the following activities are prohibited in the buffer area, right? Storage and placement of any hazardous material. We left that in there, but we took out B, installation of new sewage systems, drain fields, raise systems, right? We took that out because that's the only, we don't have public water.
yeah,
And if somebody's sewer breaks, I mean, if they're septic, right? Yeah, and replacement of existing septic dry wells or seepage.
Yeah, that
pit,
kind
I
of
mean,
bothered.
we have to take that out.
For people that live in Brookendale.
Right, because we wouldn't have a house.
we already took that.
Yeah, we already took it out.
Okay.
So maybe we addressed that point.
I
Okay.
think we addressed it. That was. the reason.
So Mark, what is your reasoning for shrinking the buffer?
So I was gonna, part of my reasoning was to simplify this as for, you know, people to understand it more easily and for administration. And I just think, I mean, I also went out and paced laterally from 6 Mile Creek in several different places, and a 50-foot buffer is, I think it's a long ways. It feels like a big distance. But I just thought it made sense in the hamlets, since people are just more restricted, and so it made sense that way to me too. And I know other municipalities locally have grappled with that, so.
Earlier, Michelle, I made a very similar recommendation, mainly based on impact, the sudden impact that it would have on landowners. Also, I paced it off in a lot of places, and 50 is pretty substantial. So I was actually fairly comfortable with that.
Okay, so the way you've written this, 50-foot buffer in hamlets and for all other perennial creeks and streams, is that in hamlets or all the?
No, that's just all.
All the
above,
perennial.
And,
creeks
and I
streams?
wouldn't retain that wording,
Okay,
that's not good. I
Okay.
didn't, so, yeah, but I meant every other, I mean, all other, all tributaries,
districts.
so
whether.
you've shrunk it everywhere, not just in the hamlets.
No,
Um,
because there's still 100 foot in 6 Mile Creek in ag rural. Oh, that's just
Well,
for
that's
6
not-
Mile
but
Creek.
Michelle is correct. I shrunk it,
Yeah,
but that's on the logic that elsewhere,
Yeah,
those are tributaries.
yeah,
So there are smaller creeks and streams, and so, like, I mean, Buffalo Road Creek. You know, a 100-foot buffer there doesn't seem right-sized compared to a 100-foot buffer for 6 Mile Creek.
yeah, yeah. I see.
And so that was my thinking about that.
Right, okay, I get that.
I thought in our discussion, I'm gonna just say it one more time. I thought in our discussion the last time, you wanted 50, I wanted 100, and we agreed on 75, and now we're going back to 50.
Well, I am proposing a smaller number.
Yes, you. Not happy. I thought that was settled into a way that was yeah. Both of us giving a little bit.
Well,
I initially proposed
it's not my fault.
I know you did. You proposed 50, I wanted 100, we went to 75, and now he's shifting back to 50. I feel a little blindsided by that.
Okay, well then, I don't want that, so I'll leave it at 75. I won't propose otherwise in the Hamlet.
That would be great. Thank you.
Becky?
Where does that leave us with the intermittent streams?
Say that again? I can't.
Where does that leave us with the intermittent streams?
Well, it's currently at 50.
And go down to 25.
What was it?
Just proposing shrinking it from 50 to 25. I'm mentioning the streams.
May I just
That's
make
my proposal.
just one comment? I thought, you know, from the conversations we had with Roz and Roz from Water. Anyway, on the watershed committee, we talked about, you know, the distance from even an intermittent stream, that certain types of plants that naturally grow in those kind of areas are important in terms of helping to clean the water.
Sure.
Now, out in ag rural areas, that in some areas that could be especially important depending on what, you know, certain farmer feels they need to use on the field in order to produce the crop. So I'm just saying, I realize there are many pressures here. But, you know, I hate to lose sight of, you know, a larger buffer.
You don't think 25 is adequate, is what you're saying. I hear you. Thank you. Yeah.
I walked off 25 next to an intermittent stream. And it's pretty big. I mean, the stream is never
It's on
flowing.
both sides.
It's almost never flowing. It's 50, so it's 25 on each side.
But when it is flowing, because maybe of a water event or,
Although, right,
right,
But just to clarify, I mean, you know, there's a certain level of intuition here. I know we have these science-based recommendations, but, you know, I really don't feel 100 feet blanket for every perennial stream makes sense. That just doesn't seem right-sized. If I think about how water flows and how much water is in different tributaries and things. So this was just a rough way to say, like, the town of Ithaca, the way they do their riparian buffers is they say the buffer width will be proportional to the size of the watershed. I don't want to go measure the watersheds
Right.
because the watershed's going to change every time you walk 4 feet down the stream. So I'm just trying to come up with something that's a reasonable way to implement this protection for all of our waters that we don't currently have, that people will be comfortable with.
So
Can I
the,
just say something real quick? We
Yeah.
talked about Bruce, in fact, I think brought up the idea of variable distances. And Nan just said, yeah, it's so complicated. And she really recommended against it.
Yeah.
But so certainly that's something that, you know, was brought up and, so I'm just gonna say, I would go, I have no basis for making any of these judgments. It's not my field, I don't know. So I think I would probably go with, you know, your intuition would probably work for me because I just don't have a strong feeling about it.
So does this, the intermittent and temporary streams on ag? In the ag zone. Or are they under different rules as agriculture? I'm just, wondering. They would just, okay.
I mean, hamlets are because they're.
Right, no, I just wanted to know, because there's like different rules for farms on different things, so I've never.
There
Sure,
are.
there's an internet stream going through.
Yeah.
a field, then it doesn't apply.
That's what I'm wondering, yeah,
No,
so like,
And I,
It
I mean,
applies.
a lot of times I'll have a hedgerow next to it anyway, but, I would just, yeah.
I mean, I just want to keep thinking about the sudden impact, the impact of this new law suddenly on
Right,
citizens. It's something that can be reviewed in 2 years and then another 4 years. This kind of buffer could easily be tweaked, but the reason that I propose these lower numbers is partially because I walk them off. So I was visualizing literally what protections on land I'm familiar with they provide, and also literally how much land they take off the table for landowners. And I'm very much in favor of having the buffers, but I think for zoning law,
mhm,
a reasonably sized buffer makes sense.
Okay.
And we've heard a lot of feedback from the public about this as well.
yeah, no, actually, you're right, I mean, I'm just thinking about, so I'm thinking about a field with a pond. And a little stream coming out of the pond, right, so you have to have a 50-foot corridor around this little drainage stream. I mean, that seems kind of crazy.
I guess, I mean, the other thing to remember is the riparian buffer is something we're introducing, but there's still all these other rules in place, right? From the
Yeah,
county
sure.
and
Yeah,
the feds, as far as what you can do in wetlands and all that stuff. So it's not like there's no protections. We're just,
no,
we're just
we
proposing
talked about that,
Okay, we're just proposing an extra protection.
Well,
We had somebody from the
yeah,
DEC come and talk with us, and so that's.
our extra protection is to establish these buffer areas around riparian areas. So those aren't,
Right.
Bruce, did you have a comment?
I was just gonna say, if you really look at the topography around here, the lay of the land, the intermittent streams and the perennial streams are gonna be very minutely touched by this because most of it's like this. There's a lot of flat stuff, but not very many intermittent or perennial streams are all flat ground around here. Out and down to 6 Mile Creek, and most of it has pretty steep side things. I mean, a lot of it had,
A lot of the perennial streams are on steep terrain.
yes, if you look at them, most of the current streets are, I would say 3/4 of them.
And what's the consequence of that?
Well, you're 25 feet, not, I mean, there's steep banks.
Oh, I see. The water won't spread out as much.
you've got a setback just by default by the geography of the land.
Right,
The lay of the land,
right,
at least that's what I'm hearing you say.
yeah, because you've
Right.
got, yeah,
Anyway, I guess I'm willing to go along with these new proposals.
Well, we wanted, I was hoping to, if we can, if we're fairly comfortable with something tonight, then we can have Nan and Rick make a new map that the public can see what we're thinking of, which would be kind of nice.
Yeah, sounds good.
So,
So do you want to make a resolution just for this particular thing? I think it'd be good to separate it out from all the other.
separate it out. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, so 100-foot buffer for 6 Mile Creek in the Ag Rural District and Focus Commercial. A 75-foot buffer in the hamlets. And then a 50-foot buffer for all other perennial creeks and streams.
So you're going with 50-foot, 20 instead of 25-foot?
Mhm.
No,
So-
well, wait a minute. No,
Say 75.
perennial.
Wait, so you're dividing that up, so it's gonna be 75 for 6 Mile Creek and Hamilton and 50 feet for all other?
That was Kate's proposal.
Okay,
So, and then a 25-foot buffer for the intermittent streams. And then I just, Nan can determine how to set the overlay on that. And then to modify the language that the buff, to be clear, and the diagram should be altered too, that the buffer limit shall be measured from the top of the street bank as it was before, perpendicular to the stream course as it was before, and at level elevation, which I believe it also was before, but it wasn't clear.
oh, did
to
you
me.
think before that they meant you included the steep slope or something?
What's that?
I said, what's not clear about this? I don't understand.
Oh, so now the bottom panel is not necessary. Because,
The second.
This one
drawing.
here. This thing,
yeah,
yeah.
is it B? Is it called B or figure two?
You too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So there's gonna be no need to add in the steep slopes because they're incorporated.
okay,
Does that make sense, Michelle? You see what I'm saying? That. So now if we just measure out level, the steeper the slope, the longer the linear distance on the land surface you'll have. Because it's the hypotenuse of a
I
triangle.
see. Right, so you're including the steep slope, whereas this diagram doesn't.
Right,
I see,
right,
Right.
exactly.
okay.
but it's still not. My concern with, if we include the steep slope, is it could be like, 30 feet up and then 10 feet at the top or whatever, and so if you were going along the bottom, that makes sense to me. And it's also a lot easier to
Right,
measure.
Okay,
all good. And then from our, yeah, I guess we don't need to worry about that other note I put about the septic because
Yeah, we took it out.
it's allowed, so scratch that out.
so are you making a resolution? Or-
I'm offering that as a resolution.
Second it.
Oh, what, Bruce?
Wasn't the steep slope measured horizontal? According to this,
Says it's not counted towards.
It's not counted.
It's not counted.
Now we're counting it as
It-
the step back.
It would just, at greater than 45 degrees, it's not counted.
okay.
Just making everything level straight out, just makes.
Right.
Yeah.
Alright.
And my rationale was, as you get steeper and steeper, you're automatically adding more linear distance. So
Okay.
I will say that the other riparian buffer provisions that local, all of them, none of them have this provision for steep slopes. So and they all have similar topography to what we do. And also the numbers I came up with in this proposal are like, I think I wrote it down somewhere.
Do all regulations tend to use percent slope and not degree of slope?
What's that?
Do all regulations tend to use percent slope and not degree of slope?
I would think a degree of slope. Degree, so it's a different
We use
terminology.
percent,
We
yeah.
say something is 45 degrees, not 45%. If we're talking about slope, we use degrees.
It's like if I go to the USGS soil survey, they always use degrees of slope.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Right.
Yeah. And that uses degrees, right? Or does it?
It says percent.
Where's
It says percent?
What you wrote down, Mark, number
Oh,
4,
Oh,
number 4.
well, I probably wrote it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
I don't see percent there.
I have,
Overlay
I
district
think
entry,
10% greater than the buffer limit. I don't-
That's
yeah,
different.
that's different.
Yeah, I don't
That's
see-
different.
I don't see anything about degrees or percent.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what I was.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. So I seconded.
Okay,
Okay.
any further discussion? So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so that passes unanimously, Josie. So we'll pass that on to Nan and Rick, and then. Okay, so I'm going back to Josie's minutes from last, from the 17th.
Okay.
So development standards, these are just edits, so let's see.
Oh, there's your percent slants.
Yeah,
Page
Oh, yeah,
60.
yeah.
There, is that the one you were talking about, Cal? The
Yeah.
Percentages,
Yeah.
yeah,
It should slope 15 to 20%. It should be degrees, 15 to 20 degrees. All these percentages should be degree.
it's funny, that was always in this draft from the very beginning, so maybe we should just ask Nan.
yeah,
What
what,
might just be standard that.
Yeah,
The way that they do it. Because that was always marked that way
That's
from the beginning. So we should just ask her and we can change it.
Okay.
Grab it, Cal.
yeah, better ask
Well,
about
it's-
it.
it's- I've always just been perplexed by, because
Huh.
some places using percent and
Yeah.
others using degree,
Right,
and
Could have been the person typing
catch.
many years ago, typed the wrong thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
That was the
but they are
zero.
mathematically, they are a little different, like a 45-degree slope. 45% slope versus 50-degree. I'm confusing myself,
50%.
yeah.
Yeah, what would that be? Is this? That's actually a good question.
Well,
I was assuming it was
It's rise to
degrees.
run versus.
100% slope must be 90 degrees.
That's what I'm thinking. So that means the 50% slope is 45 degree, and I was thinking 15 and 20% was 15 and 20 degrees and not percent.
Yeah.
That would be lower,
Well, just,
right? Because that would be
right,
90
just
instead of
whichever one
100.
we're gonna use.
Not that big,
Yeah,
not that big of a difference, I guess. Okay.
But it
How many
could be
of those
a-
chocolate?
a difference, so it's good to get that clarified.
okay, yeah, we'll have to clarify that. The edit here that, there was a having stronger,
I didn't understand how that would work in that sentence.
what it was, it should say. It should say lands having slopes greater than 20% have stronger development potential for recreational use in open space. My logic in adding that stronger, Michelle, is that without it, it could read as being exclusive.
Okay,
See what I'm saying? Whereas
Yeah,
in
no,
reality,
it's-
it's not meant to be.
I didn't understand how it,
But it's
Going
not
from
insert,
these
it's not
notes-
insert, it's not insert having stronger, it's insert stronger.
okay, yeah, thanks.
yeah, so it's just a one-word insertion there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that makes sense.
Okay, great, so that one's easily page 61.
Yeah.
Um,
And then 61,
Um,
61B, did you go over that?
change-
61B,
Right here, maybe right there.
I think I was asking for clarification on that too. I wasn't sure how that was worth thinking.
Okay.
The subsection does not,
Right,
how's it gonna read? I couldn't
just the
understand.
subsection does not apply to agricultural structures.
This is on,
This is in,
B.
yeah, it
Develop-
says,
Starts with development activity required only a building permit.
the building envelope for any new structures proposed on or within an area mapped as natural heritage site, unique natural area, or scenic resource. The code enforcement officer shall refer the application to review board to conduct an abbreviated site plan review.
Right. Okay.
This subject does not apply to agricultural structures,
Period.
Oh,
Period. period.
okay,
Take out
there
the
it
rest of the
is, I
sentence.
forgot where.
Why,
it
why are you
was.
taking out the rest of the stuff?
Because,
Garages, decks and pools.
because I felt that unique natural area or natural heritage site or scenic resource. Somebody wants to put a deck over a unique natural area. or dig and put a pool there, it should be looked at. If it's an old growth or something, they're gonna cut down the tree and put a pool in without any review.
Okay,
So that's was my concern.
Hey, John,
So we,
61B.
it's at the top, not the bottom, the top B
Yeah,
Okay.
in that paragraph.
the last sentence.
So that's all it is that one sentence, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Let's check it off. And then 62, page 62, capital B1. Change the wording. The following guidelines are recommended
All right, we took encouraged out.
for all commercial and resident, for all commercial uses, period. So that's.
so you're just taking out encouraged.
We
No.
took encouraged and not required at the end.
Oh,
So it
yeah,
turns into the following guidelines are recommended for all commercial and residential uses.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay. Seems good.
that's right, that's right. And then, let's see. Is that the only thing? Because I also
The
have,
next sentence, we also edited.
yeah,
So it says they are offered to articulate siting and development design options that support the
Yes.
rural character in this district.
that's right. So that's just an editing.
Remind me why you eliminate or removed not required.
Because it's recommended already, just doesn't mean that it's.
Because it's unnecessary. Recommended means not required.
Yeah.
So I did it as an editorial
Okay.
thing. And the same thing with
Encouraged.
support and consistent. I felt like those were just saying the same thing. So I just said that support the rural character in this district.
Okay.
That makes sense. Great, okay. We got that one, and there's a parallel one someone took down
You got D, where you're
the, yeah,
putting buffer into lowercase.
So I'll just say that it might be capitalized because there's a definition for buffer. So we made her
Oh,
capitalize everything within. the
Yeah.
definition for it.
the reason I changed that one is that buffer there is used as a verb.
Okay, so.
So it's,
yeah, that's fine.
it's not a
So
noun,
that's
so,
what you're right.
yeah,
You're correct to make that.
so.
we talked about it for a long time.
Page 63, D1. This is the same wording that I just did on that other paragraph. So
Yeah.
it's exactly the same. So you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Hey, we're getting somewhere. Page 72, we get to jump to page 72.
It's very fancy. I wasn't sure I understood this, but.
Oh,
Let's say.
I'm not responsible for this one.
I am.
Somebody decided we had to put Horte Cocheres in.
Yeah.
So you don't want to say drive-through, you want to say porte cochere? How would it read?
The thing on the celebration is a porte cochere. It's a thing you drive in and you get out of. That's like. If they're on the side of fancy houses.
That's a
That's
drive.
different than a drive-through like at McDonald's.
I thought we were keeping drive.
I thought we had both.
We
Adding,
were saying you
we're
could
doing
have
both.
drive.
Yeah,
That's right.
yes.
So
We're saying drive through.
You're saying eliminate drive-through on you.
No,
That's a mistake.
that was a mistake. I thought I was just
That's a
adding.
mistake.
To eliminate drive through, we were just.
That's right.
Because we talked about that.
No, we didn't mean it because we wanted drive-through or drive under canopies. I thought drive under canopies is a porte cochere, but
Right.
you know, it's fine. If you
So
guys don't wanna
drive
use.
through, we can
the
just say
correct
drive
architectural
through
term, I
or
think.
canopies or kosher.
Yeah.
That's all.
So it's the second
Yeah.
quote part needs to be added.
Sorry?
Drive through or
Yeah,
canopies or
Porte cochere.
kosher.
Sounds funny.
That's so, yeah.
drive through or canopies.
And canopies, I believe, is misspelled in this document. The current one, I believe, That's spelled as if something you would have an hors d'oeuvre.
Where in the,
Can it be?
in the draft?
Should be
The
C
draft, yeah.
OP
I have Opie in mind.
I have OP in mind.
down here,
On this,
on Mark's handout,
on Mark's, it's.
on the meeting
canopies.
minutes, on the meeting minutes.
Oh, I see.
It's correct, right?
No,
CANOPIES?
On the ones I downloaded, it's got an O.
The one that I have has an A for some reason. The
Oh,
one that I got tonight.
oh, it's spelled,
mine's correct.
it's here, CONO, and here's,
Oh,
here's
no,
Cana.
On these minutes,
So
it's
it's
got
two.
an A.
Two.
There's
two different
A,
ones. That's right,
and
that's two different
right.
ones.
The one that was in your email has the O.
Okay,
I have this as one's got an O and one's got an
It does.
A in the.
it does,
Right.
you're right.
Okay.
We're talking about a handout,
Right, yes,
so don't.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
that's
Don't
okay.
agonize it, yeah,
Yeah, so,
okay,
all right, great.
Canopy was fine, yeah.
Okay.
73.
thank goodness we've settled the Port Cocheri issue. Then on the next
Okay.
page, Tim suggested,
B and G.
see. B1 should be no taller than 10 feet to match G.
Right. I forget why we picked.
Wait, 73,
It makes sense that they would match.
It does make sense, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if we find out otherwise, we'll change it, but otherwise, right now, we're going with 10.
Okay.
right.
Where are you now?
That's page 73.
Page
Yeah.
73, right at
B.
B1 at the top says 8 feet, we're gonna make it 10 feet. That's what we're doing right now. Page 75. In the. Well, it looks like the caption is 6.2.13A. The last sentence, infrastructure suitable for persons with disabilities.
That seems like a good addition.
And 6.3A. There's a stray right in the middle, character in Caroline and for is stricken. Character in Caroline,
Where?
which the town intends to maintain.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, yes, and four, right.
We struck the and for.
Yep.
Great.
Page 79. Page 79,
Oh, did you do, what about this one with the disabilities? Did you,
We did that.
we did that.
suitable, all right, got it.
We just did it.
Okay. Yep. 79,
I don't have any new language, but for junk, trash, rubbish, we don't have a local law 1 of 1986 anymore. It was rescinded
Oh,
in 95.
we talked about referring to the state law.
Yeah, we can look up that. I started to do it and got distracted, but yeah,
Okay,
there's. The maintenance code talks about number of unlicensed vehicles.
Mhm.
all right,
Tompkins County Solid Waste. Handles solid waste.
So you're gonna make those corrections?
I'll make those, I'll draft something for that, so. So I guess we keep this section. And just refer to those things, yeah, okay. Okay. Page 80,
okay, and so section 6.5, we got, that's where I started getting curious about the
A.
transient and things, okay. Right,
oh, I don't know if this one's. Reload, oh no, this was mine. This was something I proposed and then pulled back.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a change we want to make, right?
Right, we talked about it.
We talked about it and then I decided I didn't want to do it.
right,
Yeah,
So page 80, strike that one. That's it, gets an X.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that one.
wait, you're not gonna relocate the second sentence?
no,
I'm not gonna reorder it. No,
Yeah, I can understand that. So,
I thought it, after talking about it, it made it worse, so I didn't like that, so.
so we're leaving the however in there. I have-
Yep, everything just the same.
Okay,
No. Page 81, 9. 81-9. Oh, this is, it's internet. The
Okay.
word internet gets inserted.
Yeah.
That's an easy one, right?
Yeah.
Page 83. Page 83B1.
Okay,
This was just a language, a very small language change I made. So designed as conservation subdivisions in accordance, blah, blah, blah. So. Everyone good with that? That was, and page 88. You're flying. This was Tim's suggestion under L, no, under I. It should be views of houses from exterior roads. So there's a type, oh, yeah.
so we take out
Views,
lots.
Taking up lots.
we took out the lots. Yeah, that's what it is. Views of houses from exterior roads and abutting properties shall be
Okay,
minimized? That's
Yeah.
not right.
No,
views
no, we
of
said
houses shall be.
layout should minimize, the layout should minimize disruption and leave scenic views and vistas.
You've got that. That's the next sentence.
Oh, I see. So the first sentence is just that one change, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
just taking out.
Then the next one, the layout should minimize disruption of, Scenic views.
And vistas,
okay,
period.
right. Okay, so we got both of those, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that seems easy.
Okay. That's your list, right?
Yeah, that's the list.
That's where we stopped last.
That is where we stop the last.
Mhm. And we, yeah, so it's 11 minutes till 9. Do we want to, let's see.
Do you feel caught up there?
Mhm.
Do you feel caught up there?
Questions from last time. One of the questions from last time was about setbacks.
Yeah, I was wondering where that would be put in.
I think it would go in the, Use
Originally, there were tables in the first version. I forgot to bring it with me.
so you
The
did,
first version does have
it's there, huh?
in the tables,
I
but I
could,
forgot to bring the first version.
Okay.
with me.
I'll look there. I couldn't find it, so great. So,
I believe, I'm pretty sure.
and there had been mention before of the Caroline Hamlet, whether to keep it or not. I'm of two minds about it, so I'm just throwing it up there
I'm
for
inclined to keep it.
you are.
I'm inclined to keep it, but
Okay,
If we keep
I was
it,
part of the group that made the students.
if we keep it, I would like clarification on how the properties,
that would just be designated on the plats, that when we will be responsible for keeping that record. It'll probably be the review board. The property subdivider will need to submit a map of the property.
right?
And
So
then-
the part of the property that's in the hamlets boundaries
Mhm.
to get made into 1 acres. And then the rest of it could
Or
also
whatever
could
it's
get into,
that it can do.
yeah, but I'm just saying,
Right.
but then the rest of it would then
Yes.
be
Will be
broken up.
subject to the 3 acre. average.
Right. Okay. Okay. So. There'd be there'd be a little more development allowed in that, within the hamlet area, right?
That's the
And
way
the
it's
hamlet,
set up.
yeah, okay,
Yes.
But it's a pretty small area. I
Yeah.
believe. It's a very small area.
And most of it's already developed anyway.
Yeah, there's small lots along the road and the frontage.
yeah. It's just. That big map, you have it. Cal. You carry around that big one.
Didn't bring it over.
Where is it? Over.
Well, it's next door.
Oh, it's all the way
It sits
next door.
outside the library.
It was kept here somewhere. Okay. Okay.
So let's see,
So I sent you all, I went through the
Mhm.
section, Article 7,
Right.
which is a revision of the site plan law. I don't know if you got it, I sent you a document that notes all of the changes. I actually personally had very little problem with most of those changes.
I went through and highlighted
I
them.
mean, there are a few that I thought that we probably need to talk about. So we'll need to do that for sure. But I mean, so if you see changes that you think need discussion,
So,
you should note them.
so you're saying that this is what's in here now is maybe.
I compared
what's
this to the
Current.
extant site plan
I see.
review law,
Okay,
which is what this was this proposal was pretty much made by the task force,
Yeah,
which made a recommendation to revise the site plan review law.
right.
Except for the design standards that when their recommendations got folded elsewhere into the zoning law. But what I did is I literally went through line by line and compared the two. To make sure that something didn't either drop out of sight. Or if there was a radical change, at least I think we should note it.
Mhm.
So that's what that document was that I sent you, but then today I sent you another email. Which just delineated 4 things within that I found to be necessary. To pay close attention to, but but you all need to look at that. Site plan, Article 7, because it's a very important article.
So I read through it, but I didn't get a chance to compare it with the changes you said that were made.
you need a chance to look at the site plan.
No, I looked at what's here, but I didn't compare it with what.
I mean, we're clearly not gonna be able to do that tonight.
No, I don't think so. So that should be our goal for next meeting.
Did we vote on the changes that we?
Oh, no, we didn't. Good point. So, so I'll put forward all of the changes that we agreed upon tonight, but haven't voted on. For approval as a consent agenda. So, seconded by Tim. There any items that you want to pull out or that you were concerned about? Don't want to vote on the whole thing? We can pull them out. Okay.
Hey,
All in
Mark,
favor? Yeah,
sorry, just to clarify, does this include the vehicle service station changes and all that from earlier in the meeting as well?
Yeah.
yes. Yep. And I have notes on it, Jesse. I can,
No, I got it. I just needed to clarify that.
the only thing I could think of that wouldn't be included is the separate thing we voted on for the water overlay and riparian buffers.
Right, got it. Thanks.
Great, yeah, thank you. Great, so I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great, thank you. Thanks for reminding me of that. That would have been thing to wake up to in the morning. We'll vote next time. Let's see. Would people be able to meet next week on an evening? That's not Wednesday. for me. I think there was another not day as well.
The second Tuesday of the month is tough for me.
Say that, Cal.
The second Tuesday of the month does not work well.
Okay, I think that's not good for Kate either.
And you said Wednesday's not gonna work, right? Because that actually doesn't work for me.
It doesn't work for me either, so thank you.
Thursday does not work.
So what are we down to, Monday?
Monday.
How about Monday?
What about
Oh, yeah, yeah. Thursday? Did we have Thursday?
I'm out of town.
I'm out of town Thursday. No, I'm not on Friday. I am here
But Tim's gone,
Thursday.
right?
I'd rather not, but okay. How about during the day? Do this before.
I'm gonna say during the day, sorry.
Is, does like,
Friday, actually,
early morning work, not super early, but first thing in the day work for anybody?
yeah,
That might work, except I'm busy on
What
Thursday.
about for Jesse?
I don't know, I'll have to ask her.
um,
She thinks.
Wednesday and Thursday mornings work for me.
Thursday, I'm not gonna be here.
You're not gonna be here.
Thursday doesn't work for me.
Wednesday morning?
I don't know.
Oh, wait, no, that doesn't work. Never mind. I'm not gonna be here Wednesday. Monday morning? No, that doesn't work. I am busy next week.
I know, you're the one that has all the conflicts.
Yeah,
Sorry. I'm
So you-
open in late afternoons, but not on Wednesday or Wednesday or Friday. Sorry.
I think the afternoons are difficult.
Mhm.
What about the following week? Can we
Is that
schedule a
because I'm
special
busy
session the
here?
following week?
I'm gonna be out of town. Wait, the following week, we have a meeting on,
Wednesday.
We have a meeting on Wednesday.
Meeting on
Yeah.
Wednesday.
and I'm gonna be out of town after that for about a week.
Like it meet Monday or Tuesday.
Can't meet in here on Monday morning, right?
Yeah,
What about Tuesday? Do they have? Does the court have it on Tuesday too? Doesn't it?
no, it's earlier in the day on Tuesday.
But if we have, so that means we can't have an early Tuesday. meeting.
Maybe, yep.
My days are pretty open that week. Except Friday.
Just practically speaking. Soon we're gonna need to have a dedicated meeting to work through some of the more of the
Yeah.
stuff to get through this.
Yes, it's just next week Kieran's moving to Albany, so I've got. to drive to Albany and,
And I might be there myself.
no, well, you can.
So you're-
unpack the car.
Your Wednesday evening is not good next week, Michelle.
Not really, I have a phone call for a monthly phone call I have. with people.
Oh,
Wednesdays, I'm open next Wednesday. but
what
you're not.
time? What time is it?
So they,
At 8? So we could, what if we met
I think
like
we could do it earlier.
6 to 8
Yeah, you could do that,
Oh,
on Wednesday?
I
So
could do that.
I'm mixing my,
I could probably do that.
The night,
Yeah.
you're talking about the night,
We're talking about the 9th.
from 6 to 8. Yeah, I can do that.
that'd be okay?
How about you, Cal?
Jesse? Would that work for you? Are you there?
Yeah, I'll make it work.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Six to eight.
That's what I proposed.
Now I'll be the one who won't be able to be here. Just I'm trying to find when I'm supposed to be in
Oh, you're checking
Middlebury,
something?
Vermont for a meeting. on
Go ahead and check.
Thursday.
We
I can't
should-
find it right now. What's that?
Okay, we can wait a
If
minute.
it works. And I'm not gonna be able to find it right away. It's not,
Okay.
it's not my calendar.
Well, we can change it if you do.
Right. Thought I had to be in Middlebury, Vermont by 10 o'clock on Thursday, but I gotta find it.
Oh,
Only 4 hours.
Another stupid board. A board that is less important than this board, I should have put it that way.
thank you, Tim.
Mark,
So-
was there a second on that?
So, yeah, I'm
Oh, are you proposing?
I will pass a resolution, so I'll offer a resolution for a special meeting on Wednesday, the 9th, is that right? Is that the date? From 6 to 8 PM to work on the zoning,
I'll second it.
seconded by Michelle. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, all right. All right, so we just went through the minutes of July 17th, so I think we should approve them, and then do people have any comments on the minutes of the 19th? I thought they looked fine, really good.
Yep,
Yep, so,
thank you, Jesse.
yep, minutes are approved. And then agenda items for the business meeting, which will be in 2 weeks. Oh, my goodness. There's stuff.
Are we gonna do we have to approve where are we in approving the Labella?
They're doing the next phase. It was a 14-week
So
phase.
we've done what we need to do.
Yes.
So we don't need that on the agenda. I'm just thinking out loud.
It'd probably be worth, I'll give you an update, but it'll be in my report.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, we'll definitely have some business items.
We haven't heard any updates on the Ag Committee, whether they have anything to report, I guess.
Yeah. See, I would, they had a meeting at the Brookendale Community Center, but
I wasn't there for that, so I don't.
yeah, I was there. They,
And it's okay, it's August.
Yeah.
It's perfectly okay if we have a light agenda.
I think Monica's pulling
And
together
we can just work on this.
information.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah,
if we have a light agenda,
We might be able to finish this.
I think we can finish
That would
this.
be fantastic.
well then,
So if we have the meeting on Wednesday, then we have another meeting on Wednesday.
I think we can be close to finishing
All right.
it.
maybe,
Or, close to
yeah,
being in a good position,
I think so. I mean, we
close to being able to.
made some
pass it on to God.
important decisions.
Yeah.
So, great. Yeah. I'll probably come up with some agenda items, but they're coming later. I can't think what they are now, but,
This does make you very tired.
so, okay.
Who's on?
Oh.
Or who's doing bills next week? Next time,
Who's up for that?
2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah. We did it last
We did it
time.
last time, so I guess.
You guys up for it?
Yep. We can.
When is it? Okay,
We can maybe just do it together.
okay, that'd be great. When is it, next week?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, sometime before the meeting in 2
It's
weeks.
easy.
Tuesday,
Okay.
Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, oh, okay, good, because I'm gonna be out of town
Yeah.
after the meeting. so-
We usually do it Tuesday or Wednesday before the meeting.
Alright.
And it's a matter of just walking through and signing every.
Right, and it's a nice opportunity to see where the money's going.
Yeah, exactly, that's what, see what's going,
Okay,
things that are, I think I remember the first one I ever did, there was sales tax on a bill that shouldn't have been.
nice.
And you did flag that and.
That's good, we can do it together.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Great, yeah. I'll make a motion for a brief executive session to discuss the contract.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Second, okay,
Is it-
all in favor?
yes, for now.
Right
Yeah.
now.
Great. Good night, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, because I'm giving back.
Thank you for coming.
Good night, Becky.
She's got to wait for me. I'm giving her a ride home next time.
Oh, okay. It'll be brief.
Can you get your car?